Hello, sociology, what is it? Well, that question in itself can prompt some different responses. Notice that you'll see I've put three commonly accepted definitions for what the discipline of sociology is. The first reads the scientific study of human social life, groups, and societies. The second reads the study of social structure. And the third is the systemic and scientific investigation into how human relationships and interactions are organized by social structures, as well as how they respond to social structures. Now, we'll talk about all the terms that you see in these definitions throughout the course. But to answer this question of what sociology is, it's helpful to talk about a tool that we use or a way of thinking that serves as the basis for what sociologists do. This tool or this way of thinking is the sociological imagination. The gentleman pictured there is a Texan by the name of C. Wright Mills, who devised this concept of or introduced this concept of the sociological imagination in the 1950s. You see, we define the sociological imagination as the method of thought. So really, it's a way of thinking. It's a way of thinking about something that examines the relationship between the individual and society. Another way of looking at this as a way of thinking that examines the relationship between the self or just another person, so the relationship between the individual and the social forces that surround that individual. Social forces there, maybe a little bit more descriptive than just saying society. When we talk about social forces, we could be talking about anything from the influence of one's family and friends to, say, the norms and expectations that are placed upon them in their workplace or their religion. That would be another social force. So when we make use of the sociological imagination, we're trying to understand the relationship between an individual and the social forces around that individual. C. Wright Mills, who spent much of his career at Baylor University, the instructions that he gives to aspiring practitioners of sociology, to people who are studying sociology, is to look to the wider society. He said that if you really want to understand what's going on, why things are the way they are, don't get caught up, don't fall into the trap, essentially, of only looking at individuals and their own motivations, their own values, their own goals. He's not saying those things don't matter. He's not saying individuals and their values, goals, aspirations, don't matter. No, but that's just one thing we take into consideration. We also need to take into consideration everything that's taking place around that individual, the social forces that are operating upon individuals. Here you see an illustration titled The Waterline of Visibility. We have an iceberg. At the top of this iceberg, above that waterline, we see traits, characteristics, attributes, whatever we choose to call them, that are more or less knowable, more or less discernible, strictly on the basis of appearance. We can look at someone and know, or at least make a pretty, confident guess about their skin color, the gender that they present. Maybe we don't know their exact age, but we can make, again, an informed guess about the stage of life that they're in. Race gets a little more tricky. Maybe, I would personally move that down to the waterline itself, kind of, where ethnicity, wealth, social status are, because we don't always know someone's race strictly by looking at them. There might be some context clues, but we don't always know what race someone is. But, to make this point here, the attributes and characteristics above the waterline of visibility, those are known because of what we see. But then if we look down below that waterline of visibility, we see traits and characteristics such as, say, one's life experiences, the things they've been through in their life, their value systems. Values are what is important to someone. We see, someone's languages, their education, their thinking style, their sexual orientation, the way they work. We don't always know these things simply by looking at someone or upon being first introduced to someone. In order to know these things, we need more information. We need more experiences. We need to get to know somebody. We need to get to know someone who knows that person. We need, in research terms, we might say we need more data. We need more information. So in order to get this, we need to dig a little bit deeper, or sticking with this theme of the water line here, we need to swim a little bit deeper. We need more information, more experiences, more data. That's what the sociological imagination calls on us to do. We're going deeper. We're trying to go beyond merely individual motivations, individual traits, individual characteristics. And once again, we're trying to understand the social forces that are acting upon or influencing an individual. C. Wright Mills gives us two concepts that can help us make use of the sociological imagination. Troubles are problems related to individual attributes such as motivation, ability, attitude, or judgment. So troubles are, in essence, personal problems. Issues, in contrast, are more of a societal matter. Issues are not caused by, nor can they be corrected by, any individual's actions. Sociologists today are going to refer to issues as social problems. So things like poverty, things like pollution or environmental degradation, uh, violence, uh, you know, uh, early parenthood, for example, becoming a parent at a young age. These things are things that a single individual does not, cause these problems, and a single individual does not necessarily uh, is not capable of fixing or wholly addressing these problems. Now, the goal when we make use of these two concepts, troubles and issues here, is not to walk through life placing everything that we see into a category of either trouble or issue, right? It's not like a pros and cons list where we have pros on one side of the piece of paper, cons on the other side of the piece of paper. We put a line through the middle and we, identify pros and cons. It's one or the other. What we want to do is establish the links between troubles and issues. We want to be able to see how individual troubles or personal problems can create issues, and how issues, these social problems, can exacerbate or make worse personal troubles. Suppose we have, a 32-year-old male, an able-bodied male, we say, who not only does not work, but has not worked in several years. We start asking ourselves why. What's going on here? Why is he not able to work, or why is he unwilling to work? Well, there might be some troubles involved. He might lack motivation to apply for jobs. He might have a bad attitude about the workforce. Maybe he has made some bad decisions in life, and as a result of that, he might not be an ideal candidate for some of these jobs. Yes, those are all troubles. But again, if we swim a little bit deeper, we ask ourselves, well, why does he have these troubles? Why is he not motivated? Perhaps there are people who are financing or subsidizing his lifestyle such that he feels he does not need to work. If he has a bad attitude about seeking jobs or taking a job, well, that attitude might be the result of negative previous experiences in the workplace. Maybe he had an abusive or degrading boss. Maybe he was harassed or assaulted in the workplace. All of those could be grounds for a negative attitude. So we're trying to see the relationship between individual troubles and social problems. They reinforce each other. Individual problems can contribute to social problems, and social problems can of course exacerbate or make worse some of these personal troubles.